can I just extend a huge welcome to you. Thank you so much for coming this evening. It bowls me over every year when we get so many people coming to our lovely school. It must mean that you're quite keen on us and want to find out about what we've got to offer. Now, I'll tell you a few things, and obviously I'm going to make a pitch for the school. I'm going to tell you all about the positive things, but if I could give you some advice, I'll remind you about this at the end. In a way, the best people to ask are the students and the staff that are out there, maybe even the people that live around you who send their children to our school. I'm pretty confident that they'll give us a good review, at least a good review anyway. I think we enjoy that good reputation, and I'm hoping that that's why so many of you are here tonight. It was nice to see the quotes as well. I hope you had an opportunity to read some of those. They're completely genuine. We just went into one year 8 tutor group last week and asked them to write down a couple of sentences, about their experiences over the last year at Nobel, and that's what they came up with. They're absolutely genuine. Okay, so let me introduce myself. My name's Martin Henson. I'm the head teacher of the school. I'm immensely proud of this school and immensely proud to be its head teacher. I've been here for 4 years. This is the beginning of my 5th year. Just a little bit about myself. I don't live in the area. I don't live in Hertfordshire. I actually live in North London, and I commute up every day. I've got 5 children of my own, so I know what it's like to be a parent. And can I just tell you, not all of them have been easy. The eldest one's 25. I've got a son who's 23, a daughter who's 18, who's just starting at Nottingham University. And for my sins, I've got a younger family too. I've got 6-year-old twins, identical twin daughters. So I've kind of seen that through. So I think that in a way, I mean, most head teachers will say this to you and have families, but I try to look at it from that point of view when I make decisions and try to do things for this school. I try to look at it from a parent's point of view. I try to think about what is it that I would like? How would I like my children to be treated when they go to school? How would I like them to be encouraged? And in a way, that's the bedrock really of how I try to run the school. So I'm hoping that you'll think that if you join us, but that's the way that I try to do things. As I said to you, I love my job. I genuinely do. Part of the mission for the school is to enable young people, students who join us, in year 7 next year, to move through the school, to gain in confidence, to obviously get the qualifications that they need, but also to be able to do, in a sense, what I've done. That's not to be a head teacher, necessarily, but to give them the confidence that they can go away and find a job that they really love. Because I think that's the ultimate thing in life, really, is to bring happiness. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to facilitate, in a sense, future happiness. This is a lovely school. I would say that, wouldn't I? But it's genuine. I noticed it when I came on my first day at interview. So I can't really claim credit for that because I think it always existed. There is something about this school, and it's about the young people that come here. They're genuinely lovely, polite, courteous. I noticed so much, in contrast to where I'd worked before. The rest of my teaching career had been in London. That when I came here, the students were genuinely friendly. They looked you in the eye. They said, "Good morning, sir." They opened doors for you and all those sorts of things. And it's been my determination since then to preserve that as far as possible. That's really what the aim of the school is. So, what do we believe in? Now, I'm going to talk to you honestly and candidly about what we believe in. And I suppose what I'm saying to you is, you'll be going to see, and I know we're the first in the cycle, you'll probably be going to see other schools. Maybe you won't, but probably you will. And it's for you, I guess, to decide which school is aligned with what you think, what your values are and what your goals are for your children. And that's the decision that you need to make. I'm not going to try and twist your arm in that way. What I'm going to do is pitch to you and tell you what we stand for, and then it's your choice as to whether that's something that you want to buy into and join and become part of. So, it's quite simple. We've got some straightforward core principles, and they're around the fundamentals. I call them the fundamentals. They're things like, I'll talk to you about ready, respect, safe in a minute, but they're things like being smart and proud of your uniform, being on time for school, having really good attendance, having a good attitude to your learning, behaving in an appropriate manner, even when you're on the way to school and on the way home from school. These are all important things for us. And the way that we try to, and this is a new thing that we're working on this year, and in a sense the Year 7s who join us will be working with us on this. We discovered at the end of last year, when we sat down and we looked at it, that we had over 50 rules in the school. And actually, as the head teacher, I didn't know half of them. And we thought that was quite odd. We'd got to the situation, I think, where rules existed, and then we just kind of added more rules to it. You know, you can't do this, or you can do that, you can't do the other. And so what we did is we cleared the decks completely. And so for simplicity's sake, these are the 3 school rules that we have. Okay. We expect our students to be ready for school. That can mean a whole variety of things, obviously, but we expect them to come to school dressed appropriately, ready to learn, with the right equipment. We expect them to line up before lessons, come in, sit down. And if students aren't ready for school, then we'll remind them about that. You know, we'll say, okay, you're not ready now, but what you need to do in order to be ready is. Similarly, we expect our students to show respect. We want them to be respectful, courteous young people. They won't always be. They're probably not always like that at home with you. They won't be finished products, but what we're going to try and do is to work on that to make sure that they learn those things as they go through school. And we're not going to shout and holler at students if they don't do these things. We're not going to have too much of a punishment routine around. We're kind of changing our ways a little bit here. What we're going to do is we're going to encourage the vast majority of students who come to this school around their good behaviour and the things that they do. And we're going to work very hard about building ready, respect and safe behaviour amongst all of our students. Obviously the last one, safe, is obvious. We've got to be safe. So an example would be, if a student was running around the school, we'd stop them and we'd say, you know, what you're doing isn't safe. We advise that you walk, because actually if you run, this is what you can do. And what we're going to try and do is try to explain our rules to the young people, and we're going to use those 3 things in order to do it. I think it's a really exciting initiative. And I think it's going to be the icing on the cake in the school. I think we're going to make progress with all of our students as a result of this. If you join us, there will be parents' evenings where we'll explain how we're going to manage behaviour and all those sorts of things. But let's move on. So we've got these fundamentals, and then I guess my deal to you here is that, and I say this every time, but it's nevertheless true, the most important thing that I do is recruit and retain good teachers. You can have all the plans for improving your school, but if you haven't got the people in the classrooms doing the work, and you haven't got good teachers, then it's not going to work. And I can stand here now and say, we have got a really good staff. You'll meet lots of them tonight. You can make your own judgment about that. They know their subjects. They're all experts in the subjects that they're teaching. But also, when I interview them, I'm looking for people who have got a kind heart as well, who like children, who want to work with children. Because remember, I'm a parent too. So I'm thinking, how would I want my daughters to be taught when they're at school? And that features all the time in the way that I look when we're recruiting teachers. And obviously, if you put those 2 things together, what you get is achievement, and what we're looking for is all of our students to make, you know, at least the expected progress that they should make, but really want to smash that. We want them to move on from where they were at primary school and make even better progress than they did there. Okay, so that's what we aim to do. Now, how are we going to do that? I'm going to try and explain that to you in the next few minutes. One of the ways we do that is through good communication between us as a school and you as parents. I think our parents would say that we are quite good. No, they'd say that we were very good at communicating, and sometimes they say to us we're not. If I hear that we're not, I've got a personal assistant, a PA, and if I hear that people aren't happy with the communication we have, then I'll get my PA to phone them up, and I'll invite the parents into school and I'll talk to them very honestly about that to try and improve things. We're not the finished product. I'm not the finished product, even at my age, as being a head teacher. As soon as you say that you're the finished product, I think that's a recipe for disaster. We're all trying to improve. We like to have a dialogue with our parents. We want to talk about how we can improve things. And it's important that if you decide that you want to send your precious children to our school, then I guess what I'm saying to you is, be willing to come into a partnership, to talk to the school about things. I'm sure that you'd want to do that. I only learned how to do this on PowerPoint the other day. Did you see those arrows going on? I'm really proud of that. Okay, so it's important to have this really successful partnership. So, Nobel is a community. When your children join the school, they become Nobelians, and we'll do our very best. I'm standing here telling you, pitching to you, that we'll do our very, very best by them. Okay? And we'll want to push them academically, and we'll want to develop them in other ways as well, so they can become the whole person. So that by the time they leave us, hopefully when they're 18, maybe when they're 16, but probably in our school, sort of 65% of them stay on until they're 18, that we would expect them to leave with a bright future, because that's what we're aiming to do. Okay, so we have this around the school. It's, you know, what we're trying to achieve for our Nobelians, for our students. So all Nobelians will acquire knowledge, skills, love of learning and character necessary to make a successful contribution to the changing world in which we live. We know it's a changing world. Nobelians will be equipped to make informed choices, be responsible citizens, enjoy successful careers and achieve personal fulfillment. Nobelians will be achievers. That's what we stand for. That's what we want to do. And of all of those things, I think that's the most important. A successful, happy life, as I said to you before. Okay, let me just talk to you a little bit about a few figures, but not probably as many as I've shared with groups in the past, because as you've probably read, GCSEs have changed over the last couple of years, and it's quite difficult to make comparisons between results that we've had in the past and results that we've had now. That's not to say that we haven't done really well last summer, because we did. But just to give you a kind of flavour of that, so that you feel as though we're on the right kind of track. The percentage of Nobel students achieving a pass, now in maths, it's not letters anymore, it's numbers, it's 1 to 9, and 4 is seen as being a pass. In maths, at our school, our figure, you can see that the national figure was 70%, well our figure was about 74%, so quite a bit above the national average in maths. Similarly in English, it's the English figure, actually they did brilliantly well, the English faculty this year, and for the first time since I've been here, they won't like me saying this, but they actually outshone the maths department. And looking there, you can see the national average is 71%, 4 and above. Well, students at Nobel got 79, and we've got some remarks coming in. We're hoping that we're going to break the 80% mark, which will be absolutely fantastic. Really, really impressive. We've got a fantastic English department, and that's a reflection of that. And as you can see also in English, 80% of our students gain the 4+ qualification, but 68% of them gain the next level up, which is a 5, and that's seen by the government as being a strong, what they're describing, but they really don't know. Seriously, I mean, I know there's a lot of things they don't really know much about, but they don't know much about the grades in GCSE. I didn't mean that in a political way, but you know how it can sometimes come over. So, we've got this new kind of 5, which is seen as what they call a strong pass. Well, we got, our 5s was 10% higher than the national. They're good GCSE results. That's what you need to know. You need to be secure in sitting there that, if your young person joins us, there'll be a good opportunity for them to get really good GCSE results. And if we move on to A2, A-level and BTEC, BTEC is a vocational qualification. You put those two together, and what we've got is, 25% of our students got A stars, an A star or a distinction star in BTEC. And if you go down, the figures are really impressive. And every single student who left here last year got a grade. None of them got a U grade. They shouldn't do, but they didn't, and that's really good. It's unusual. Not many schools actually can even boast that. So what I'm saying to you, GCSE and A-level, secure. If Ofsted were to come in next week, they would come to the same conclusion that those GCSE results are really good, and those A-level results. And And just a little bit about A2 progress. This is a bit esoteric for you, but if I could just explain that, like an average score would get a score of 0.00, so it would be 0, and anything above that is plus, and anything below that obviously is negative. But once you get to 0.13, they describe that as being significantly plus. Okay, so our A-level results in 2015 and 2016 were both Sig plus. We haven't had the detail from this year's results to tell you about those, but the 2 years before that, if Ofsted were to come in, they'd find those A-level results, and they'd have to say that they were outstanding. Really fantastic A-level results from our school. Okay, just quickly on. So, headlines from our post-16. So this is in A-level. And it backs up what I'm saying to you. All students progressed either to work, higher level apprenticeships or university. So all of them had a pathway which was leading to, eventually to either straight away or eventually to employment. 70% of students actually go to university, and 1 in 4 are going to Russell Group University. Russell Group universities are the top 20 universities in the country. And we had 1 student, last year we had 3, but 1 student this year went to Oxford. And that's good for a comprehensive school. We want to work on that. We'd like more students to do that. So attainment and achievement in the school is really good. Okay. What I'd like to do now is hand over to Laura, who's our head girl, and she's going to talk to you a little bit more about the things that we have from a student's point of view. Thank you, Laura.
My name is Laura and I'm head girl here at Nobel. I'm currently studying philosophy and ethics, sociology and product design. After my A-levels, I plan to go to university and study to become a primary school teacher. Now, firstly, I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Nobel and the support that we have on offer here for all of the students. This is going to be one of the biggest steps in your lives, transitioning from primary school into secondary school. You're going to meet lots of new teachers, make new friends, be in a bigger school, and be surrounded by much bigger people than you're used to. But don't worry, that's exactly how I felt when I was in year 7. When I started at Nobel 6 years ago, I found that all of the teachers here were extremely supportive, and I believe that this has continued and grown as I've been here. Not only are the teachers really helpful, but there is also a wide range of people to support and help you through this transition. As a school, Nobel has many schemes in place to make you feel most welcome and achieve to your highest potential. For example, there is a scheme in place for some year 7s to be partnered up with a 6th former to build on their literacy skills and their confidence. And there are similar schemes in place across the school in subjects like maths and science. In your form groups, you will take part in daily activities and will be visited by some 6th formers to play different games and to get to know your form as a whole. Because at Nobel, it's not just about achieving academically, it's also about becoming well-rounded humans. The student support here at Nobel is first class. There's always someone there to listen to any concerns or worries that you may have, whether this is your form tutor, your head of year, a subject teacher, or your student support officer. Through my time at Nobel, I feel like I personally have flourished, and not just academically, but also as a person. I wholly was supported through my GCSEs by all of my teachers here, and I believe that that is what today has inspired me to become a primary school teacher. I would like to hand over to Jordan to tell us a little bit more about the extracurricular activities we have on offer here.
Hello, my name is Jordan and I'm head boy here at Nobel. I'm currently studying English literature, theatre studies and biology with the aim of going on to university to study English literature to then do a year's PGCE in the hope of becoming a primary school teacher. I'm going to talk a bit about extracurricular here at Nobel and what we offer you guys. Our school is full of after school and lunchtime clubs and different opportunities for you to come along and show your passion and to get a chance to socialise with people who have a similar interest to you. For example, down in sport, we do football, netball, rounders and many, many more sports which you can come and get involved in. And we have debating club up in English, and in performance we have dance, drama and music. As a school, our performance faculty is amazing, and we frequently put on shows and musicals, which I'm sure some of you would have seen, especially our annual pantomime and the recent production of Oliver, which both Laura and I took part in. And we can honestly say we loved working with members of the whole school from different age groups. In your first few weeks of Year 7, you'll get a chance to go on a great trip to Wymley Woods. This is a fantastic 2-night away camping trip with activities such as orienteering, sports, having a campfire and even a talent show on the final night. It's a great opportunity to socialise and get to know your peers and your teachers and really settle into the Nobel community. The school also works with the charity World Challenge, who organise groups of students from UK schools to go over to less advantaged countries, to get to know the culture, to experience different activities and to stay with the local community. I was lucky enough to do this last year and I went to Costa Rica for a month. For this I raised £4,000, which I wouldn't have been able to do without the support of the school, the staff and the students. This year we sent a team out to Nepal who had just as good time as I did. This is a real example of how our school gives opportunities to both achieve academically but also to develop yourself as a person. Laura and I wish you all the best of luck in your final year of primary school and with your SATs. And we look forward to seeing some of you around Nobel. Thank you, and if you have any questions, Laura and I will be here at the end. Thank you.
So I'd just like to carry on there from what Jordan and Laura were saying and talk about, we talked just before they spoke about the academic side of the school. Now I'd like just to move on briefly to talk about the other things that we offer. This is our kind of mission statement. I just want to draw your attention to the last bit. Citizens with good character. That's what I think I was getting at when I was talking to you at the very beginning. That's really the aim of the school, so that we can develop those students. Okay, now how are we going to measure that? Well, what we do is we've got this system in place in school, which conveniently has the acronym CARE. Now, as well as picking up house points and for good academic performance, students will also have the opportunity to pick up house points around these 4 different areas. Okay? And this is how we're going to work with your young people in order to develop that other side. So we stand for those 2 things at school. We stand for the academic development, but also the development of the character. So we want to be able to, it's a big word, but we want our students to be courageous. We want them to be brave. We want them to be able to do what Laura and Jordan just did. Imagine that, standing up in front of 250 people to present on behalf of the school. They're the sorts of skills that we want to develop. We want students who are brave and are courageous enough to do that. Students who are able to stand up for their opinions. Students who are able to put their hand up in class and have a really good opinion about things and not fear. Okay, so we'll be working with them to develop that. We want all of our students to be aspirational. And actually, I want you to be aspirational about your children when they come here. We expect the very best from them. And we're not going to accept work that isn't their very best. So if they're rushing homework, and they're handing homework in that we don't think is up to the standard that they should be handing in, we're going to ask them to do it again. Because we're not going to be settling for second best. Okay? We'll expect the very best from them every time. And we want them to develop that aspiration. We want them to be thoroughly responsible, but as I said to you before, we don't expect students to come to school fully rounded and responsible young people. We would expect that they will make mistakes, but we will be encouraging them and pointing them in the right direction in order to develop that. We also, finally, the E part of care, want them to be caring, empathetic, able to see things from other people's points of view. Not just people in the school, but other people in Stevenage, other people in the country, and most importantly of all, other people in the world. Because we think that's an important part of living in the modern world in a peaceful way. So we expect people to show, and expect our students to show that, and we'll be working with them in our lessons to develop those 4 different areas. Okay, finally then. I'll leave you just with a few thoughts. Please listen to what people say about us. I'm quite confident that they'll say mostly nice things. Okay? ask questions. You can ask me after this, you can ask Jordan, you can ask Laura. Lots of people around for you to ask questions of this evening. Ask the students when you go in. There's lots of students out there waiting to talk to you. Talk to them about their experiences, talk to them about how they're supported, talk to them about the atmosphere that exists in the school. They're much better messengers of that in a way than I am. Okay? But when we did do a parents' survey, 97% of our parents said that they would recommend the school to other parents. I thought that was really good. Dead proud of that. Okay? That's quite a large number of parents who would recommend us to others. And when we ask students, because we do a parents' questionnaire and we do a students' questionnaire, and actually, incidentally, I do a staff questionnaire every year, one each term, to try and get feedback from people. And the students tell us, overwhelmingly, not 100%, but overwhelmingly, that they're happy here and feel supported. Okay. So, I guess, you know, after you've seen us tonight and you've been to visit the other schools, if that's what you're going to do, then, you know, I'm absolutely convinced that this is a lovely school. I know that it is. As I've said to you before, I'm absolutely convinced about that. I would really love to receive, or for you to make an application via Herts County Council to come and join us next year. It would be great to start working with you and building that partnership. Thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.